All right, so this is my next rant here on this. I'm on this like 12-hour road trip, and this is how I've chosen to entertain myself. For this rant, I think I wanted to talk about why Halo 1 is the best Halo game. It is vastly underrated among the Halo community, and there's a good reason for that. It's because most people haven't played the game correctly. But yeah, I think when people when they long for classic Halo and an older Halo, I think most people are thinking of some type of hybrid between Halo 2 and Halo 3. And a lot of people are honestly ignorant about the strengths of Halo 1. And there's a lot of misconceptions about the game. Most notably, the most prominent one is that the pistol is overpowered, which it's just false. I'll explain why. But there's just a lot of misinformation floating around about that game that stems from the majority of the people that have played the game played it in a very particular way that is not the optimal way to play. Such a small minority of the game's total player base have actually played it the optimal way. Which, for those that don't know, unlike every other Halo game, which is primarily played 4v4, Halo 1 is best played 2v2, and that's mostly because of the spawn system. But which I guess I'll just start now. The first reason why Halo 1 is the best Halo game, especially in I'm talking ideal settings, like compare competitive Halo 1 2v2 settings to like MLG 4v4 settings for Halo 2 and Halo 3. Like the best each game has to offer. That's what we're comparing here, not matchmaking settings. But the first reason why Halo 1 is the best Halo game, I think, would be the spawn system, which is going to sound strange to the uneducated ear, because I think a lot of people associate the Halo 1 spawn system with getting killed on spawn. And they're like, oh, this game sucks, why am I spawning here? Well, there's a very good reason you're spawning there. It's because your partner spawned you there. The best thing about Halo 1 2v2s is that you get absolute control over where you spawn your partner. You get to choose the exact place that you spawn him. Each map only has like 30 or fewer spawn points on it. And so if you play the game enough, you'll learn every single one of those spawn points. And all you have to do is just make that the spawn point you're standing closest to, and you will spawn your teammate there. You can do it on purpose, or as what typically happens in matchmaking with people that don't know how to play, your partner can do it on accident. You can die, and then he'll take a really poorly timed 2v1 fight while you're dead. They'll see him, they'll start shooting at him as you're about to spawn, and then you'll spawn just right there next to him with your pants down, and you're gonna die immediately. And then they're like, oh, Halo 1's bad. No, your partner's bad. Well, once you learn the spawn points and you know how to spawn your partner, the game is awesome, because there's so much you have to think about. You have to protect your teammate off the spawn, or you can use his spawn to cut off a fleeing enemy and cover two angles. You can spawn him to create traps. It's just so much more to think about. It's so much more fun than just letting the game take care of it for you, like Halo 2 does, and not really having very much control over it. It's just like in Halo 2 and every other game that came after it, you don't really have to think about it. You just kind of let the game take care of it for you. There's a few times where you have to think about it, like King of the Hill Construct comes to mind, where like, okay, you're last alive and you're in sword, like don't drop, like you want your teammates to spawn sword, or you don't want to go mid gold when you're last alive because you're gonna spawn your whole team there. Like there are times where it comes up in other Halo games, but not nearly as often as Halo 1, where you constantly have to think about it. And And it makes the game so much more skillful on both sides. You know, having to think about how you're going to spawn your partner, how your partner's going to spawn you, communicating with your partner, like, hey, I want this spawn me here, like that type of thing. Or when you're in the advantageous position, you're in the 2v1, and you know the other team has a guy about to respawn, you need to be thinking about, put yourself in the mind of your opponent. How does he want to spawn his partner? And then you can have a grenade waiting for him. If he makes a predictable play, or if you have him trapped, you can punish it. It's so much more deep, and the spawn system adds so much to the game. And unfortunately it's really underappreciated, because most people, I guess I never really addressed this earlier, but most people, when they played Halo 1, they played Blood Gulch CTF. They played shotguns only on Chiron. They played silly game types. They didn't play 2v2 with pistol and AR starts and no radar on Chill Out. You know, they didn't play the game at its best. And so they don't get it. And they don't know where the spawn points are. And they don't know how the spawn system works. They're just used to coming from another Halo game where the game just handles all that in the background and you never have to think about it. So it's unfortunate that one of the game's best traits is looked at as one of its greatest weaknesses by the uneducated eye. It's unfortunate. I'd like to spread this, get the truth out there. Like, no, man, once you know how the system works, it's freaking awesome. It's one of the game's best things. Okay, so moving on. The next reason why I think Halo 1 is the best Halo game is the weapon sandbox. Again, this is another thing that is really, really underappreciated in the community, in the Halo community, because they don't get it. They think the pistol is overpowered because it can kill in 3 shots, which the minimum time to kill is 0.6 seconds. Yeah, that is super freaking fast. And if that was how most fights played out, it probably would be overpowered. However, getting a 3-shot kill, anybody that has played the game for any amount of time on land can tell you, is rare. And it's awesome. Like, it's way harder to get a 3-shot kill in Halo 1 than it is to get a 4-shot kill in Halo 2 or Halo 3, or to get a perfect 5 in Reach. It's way harder. You might get 2 or 3 TSKs in a full game to 50, maybe. It doesn't happen very often. So, but the potential is always there. If your aim is hot, if you're on fire, you can turn around fights. You can kill somebody in a little over half a second. And it becomes the great equalizer if you're good enough, you know. And the thing that gets overlooked with Halo 1, because everybody talks about how good the pistol is they always neglect to mention how good everything else is in the game. Everything is good, except for the Needler. Needler sucks. But everything other than the Needler is crazy good in Halo 1. The nades have an enormous blast radius. The rockets have an enormous blast radius. The sniper's rate of fire is hella fast. And it's got that 2x zoom, so it's really versatile instead of the 5x. I think a lot of people don't know that. The shotgun's range is crazy. You can get a one-hit kill from really far out with the shotgun's range, and you can finish no shield guys from even farther. The shotgun's super versatile. The AR, if you can come up next to a guy like in that just outside of melee range type situation, who's not looking at you, like, the AR is the right choice. It's a good weapon if you're using it in the right situations. Then it's got that extra melee range, and it's got quick camo capabilities. The plasma rifle, the plasma weapon stun in Halo 1. Please, God, bring that back. It was so good. Why are we not doing that? It drives me insane. Like, the PR, the plasma rifle, is so much fun to use in Halo 1 because you will stun the enemy and you can move in for a melee. And it destroys overshield. The plasma pistol works the same way if you P-shot it. Like, it was such a good, fun weapon. It needs to come back. Like, the PR has just been like this afterthought weapon ever since. I mean, think about it. It was only used for dual wields in Halo 2. It was only used for dual wields in Halo 3. It kind of sucked in 3. The repeater in Reach was a joke weapon. Nobody ever picked it up. What was it in 4? The storm rifle sucked in 4. And 5, it's basically just a buffed AR. Like, all it does is just kill faster. It overheats fast. It's just like, it doesn't even function differently than the AR. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, it's only in 1 where it's like a unique weapon, or it's got a really long kill time by itself, but it's this niche weapon because it will stun people and it will destroy overshields. It's the flanker's dream weapon. And it's just like, everything was so good in it that the pistol had to be good, or else the sandbox would suck. But because everything is viable, and this is where Halo 5 screws up, because in Halo 5 almost everything's viable as well. However, everything's also redundant as hell and easy to use. And the reason Halo 1 sandbox is so good is because everything was unique and difficult to use, but viable if you're doing it right, except for the Needler. The Needler sucks. And so that's just where Halo 1 nails it. Like, you have all these awesome weapons that can be so deadly if you're using them right, but you're never just screwed when you spawn because your starting weapon is so good. So if you have perfect aim, you can overcome almost any situation. But it's truly like a jack of all trades weapon. It's not a king, it's a jack. It's a jack of all trades. Like, it's good in every situation, but it's not the best in any situation. So that's where Halo 1 just absolutely nailed it. And every other game since has screwed it up. Like, if you look at Halo 2, the time to kill is like twice as long, at least twice as long as the minimum time to kill in 1. So that makes rocket, that makes shotgun, that makes sword, that makes sniper, it makes everything so much more powerful, and it creates like so many more like helpless feelings in Halo 2, because you can just get almost not completely, but almost checkmated by certain weapons in certain situations. Whereas in Halo 1, you always have a chance. If your aim is perfect, you always have a chance. And every other game just got worse and worse with that. Halo 3, the time to kill gets longer. The range gets shorter because of random bullet spread. And like, you can't, it's literally impossible to get a perfect minimum time to kill with the VR past a certain range, because the bullets are going to spread out too far. So, I mean, your time to kill ramps up, and then your chance against certain weapons just plummets. And that's not ever fun. That just becomes rock, paper, scissors at that point. So, yeah, Halo 1 sandbox, second best reason why it's the best Halo game. Third reason, and this one is huge. This is one that I think it's so frustrating to me, because it is absolutely possible in every Halo game. I don't know why we can't go back to this, even if you have a different vision for what Halo is supposed to be. But fast-paced item spawns and static item spawns. Everybody knows when stuff's coming up, and it's a quick pace, so there's not any camping. So in Halo 1, the way it works is every minute a power-up is going to spawn. At least an overshield is going to spawn every single minute on the minute. You could pick it up at 59 seconds. Well, 1 second later, another one's going to spawn, because that's the minute. It's static. Everybody knows when it's happening. In every other Halo game, it's dynamic. You pick up a power-up, and if I pick it up at 59 and it's a minute spawn, then it's not going to spawn again until 1:59. So only unless somebody sees me pick it up, only I know when it's going to spawn again. And it just kind of snowballs from there. But if it's static, and it always spawns at the same time no matter when you grab it, then there's going to be a fight for it every single cycle. You're like, unless somebody's just playing poorly and not positioning themselves right, you're going to have to win the fight every single time. And I love that. The game doesn't snowball out of control, and you have to earn it every cycle. it's just better. And because it's every minute and it's so fast, like, you can't really camp. You can camp for like 45 seconds tops, and then stuff's gonna spawn again. And if you're just gonna forfeit it by camping, then good luck holding out, because they're gonna have everything and it won't take them long to get it. Rockets are every 2 minutes. In every other Halo game, it's 3 minutes. And a lot of times they won't spawn again until the first one is out of play. When Halo 1 doesn't care. You don't use all your rockets, they're still coming up again 2 minutes later. And it forces these battles. You have to fight over it, because if you don't fight over it, your opponents are going to take it, and then you're going to get screwed. So it kept the game moving at such a fast pace. Whereas you look at Halo 2 to this day, well, okay, it's not worse than default Halo 4. The only thing worse than Halo 2 is default Halo 4. But Halo 2's weapon respawn system was so stupid, because only one team would ever know when stuff's fixing to spawn. Like, let's say you pick up rockets on Beaver Creek, and you use 4 rockets, and you just hang on to them for like 2-3 minutes, doesn't matter, however long you stay alive, you just hang on to them until you make your way back up to like that red cliff where the Magnum is up there, and you trade your empty rockets for that Magnum. Now the rockets are on respawn because you dropped empty rockets, but only you know they're on respawn. Nobody else is going to even fight you for those rockets. You're not even really going to have to earn them again, because they spawn so fast after you put them on respawn. You just chill on that Magnum for a few seconds and jump up onto the arch, and you have new rockets again. And nobody else even knew they were coming up. Like, that is the dumbest shit. So you have these long periods of time, potentially, where only one guy has the weapon, and he never has to fight for a new one. In Halo 3, like, rockets and sniper, they're all like 3-minute spawns. It's just a long time to not have to battle for something important. So that's why I liked what Halo 1 did. It keeps the tempo of the game so fast. It makes camping completely unviable on most maps. The other cool thing with the power-ups were actually influenced by physics. Like, you could grenade or rocket power-ups around. Like, Damnation being the biggest example. The camo spawns up on the rafter up there. You can grenade it down to the bottom, and it creates really dynamic gameplay where the top team wants to nade it back so they can grab it without having to jump out for it, and it can't be naded down. Bottom team wants to nade it down so they don't have to go up for it, and they force the top team kind of out of their cozy little positions, and they have to peek over ledges and be vulnerable to contest the camo. So it creates this really fun gameplay, and every minute when camo's fixing to spawn, you got nades flying everywhere around it. Everybody's trying to get the perfectly timed grenade to bounce the camo to where they want it to go. And it's just fun. Like, you don't get that in any other Halo game, because the power-ups aren't influenced by physics. And it's just really unfortunate. Like, look at Chill Out or Derelict Overshield, trying to, like, you're in a mad dash for the overshield with another player. You get a grenade on the far side of the overshield, knock it closer to you so that you can get it sooner. Like, that's just interesting, and it's just super unfortunate. It doesn't happen in any other Halo game. But yeah, those are my 3 biggest reasons why Halo 1 is the best Halo game. Trying to think of some. I know there are more, but those are personally my 3 big ones. And what drives me so crazy about Halo nowadays is that those 3 things I just said are not confined. They don't have to be confined to Halo 1. You can apply those concepts to a new Halo game, and you would have an excellent game. Like, it doesn't have to be exact replicas. Like, the pistol doesn't have to be a 3-shot kill. It doesn't have to have a 0.6 second time to kill. It just needs to be fast. You just need to have a fast minimum time and a high average time, so that a good player can distinguish themselves. And I don't see any reason why we can't go back to the way that power-ups were. Like, that should just be a no-brainer. The game plays better that way. Let's just go back to it. As for the spawn system, I get it. I get why we don't use it for 4s. It is definitely suboptimal for 4s. But for 2s, it's phenomenal. Like, it'd be nice if we had 2 different spawn systems, one for 2s and then one for everything else. So, anyways, that's why Halo 1's the best. I would like to see those things applied to newer games going forward, even if it's not an exact replica. I just want those concepts and those principles to be applied going forward. Quinn Del Hoyo, I'm looking at you, man. Like, I think you got the biggest pull on this sort of thing going into Halo Infinite, and I hope and I wish that you understand why they're important and why they're good, why we need them. And for any other Halo fans out there that might hear what I'm saying and don't have a lot of experience in Halo 1, hopefully this makes you want to play it a little more. The game is worthy of your time. I know that MCC is not where it needs to be, and your experience with Halo 1, if MCC is your only experience with Halo 1, I can understand why you wouldn't like it. The shotgun's a joke. The plasma rifle doesn't even fucking work at all. It's like a non-gun. The sniper's too easy. The pistol's too easy. Like, it's basically just a game about controlling rockets and power-ups on MCC, which is really unfortunate. But if you get the chance to play it on LAN, I would direct anybody that is curious about Halo 1 and wants to play it, get 4 friends together, get some Craigslist, some old CRT TVs, a couple of, 21-inch CRT TVs, get some old original Xboxes and 4 controllers. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to halo1final.com, or just Google search Halo 1 NHE, that stands for Neutral Host Edition, and download these new versions of Halo 1. They're so much better than putting a disc in the tray, because you can play with a neutral host. You can have a built-in timer for the game. If you're landing in the same room with your opponents, it removes a lot of the sounds that give away too much information. Like, for example, waterfall and damnation, or standing near a portal. Those sounds are disabled, so your opponent can't figure out where you are just by listening to your TV. They thought through so many things that just make the game play so much better. And I think that's what Halo 1 should be judged by, is landing these new versions of the game. Because that's Halo 1 at its best. And if you're going to decide whether you like or don't like Halo 1, it should be based on playing that. I think if you can get 4 friends together to try that sometime, I think you're all going to have an absolute blast. You can turn on training mode so you can see where the spawn points are and where the randoms are. So you can play the game the way it's meant to be played at a higher level, like right away, because you can see, you have all the information at your disposal to play the game correctly. It shows you where the power items spawn. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Devilman, DDS, all the people that worked on it, Integrate, they're just, we owe them a great debt. They've done the community an amazing service, and I hope you guys get the chance to play it. Anyways, this has been Hardway telling you why Halo 1's the best game ever. Signing out.